Hey all you yuckers and yummers out there, my name's Courtney.
And I'm Carlito.
And if you enjoy listening to Newlyweds Argue, then this podcast is for you.
Well, more specifically, we'll be discussing movies, books, or certain comics that one enjoys and tries to introduce the other to it.
And then find out the verdict of whether they yuck it or yum it.
You can listen to us currently on Anchor.fm and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hope you have fun listening to our podcast, Don't Yuck My Yum.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Don't Yuck My Yum, the podcast where we talk about things that we yuck or yum. Sometimes you make me. Yeah, you make me watch
Not
something.
You guys.
Right.
You don't do anything.
No, you guys just listen. You make me watch something that I don't like, which I usually do like.
Yes.
And then I make you watch something which sometimes you like, but you usually don't. I'm your host, Carlito Gilchrist. This is my wife.
The co-host.
Yes.
Courtney Gilchrist.
Yes. And this episode, we decided, well, we kind of went backwards, yeah. Because I think originally we said we were going to do this next, but then we didn't.
Well, the funny story is I thought this was going to be a pick of mine.
It was.
Like, as in, I like it, and I want you to watch it.
Right.
But then as we're watching it, I come to remember, oh, I don't really like it.
Did you know that, like, before showing it to me? Or was it,
No,
like,
I think I honestly forgot.
As you watched it, you were like, oh, yeah,
I think the first time I saw it was a long time ago, and I think I didn't really either get a lot of it or didn't think too much about it. It was just kind of just watching it, but not really understanding it. Just kind of like, oh, sure, whatever.
Right.
But then watching it again a second time, being older, then I'm like, oh, I'm not really a fan.
Well, because, like, literally after we watched this, we, like, kind of had to do a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So we watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Which we did for the previous episode.
So that
which
became a Yumathon.
That kind of was like an impromptu thing because it was like, we had watched this, and we were in San Francisco, and we were going to have Shannon on, but we were like, she hasn't seen this movie.
Yeah. So like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, so we thought, well, let's just talk about Pirates and talk about how awesome it is.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to talk about
Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah, how much we don't like
it.
Rebel Without a Cause. Which I feel like
is almost blasphemy.
It is. And I don't know if we're going to get a lot of hate for this or not, but I think I'm kind of surprised at coming from you.
Right, because I'm the classics girl.
Yeah. You're the one who always comes up with all the old films, and because it's like I've seen a lot of movies, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of like what you would call classics.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like the bigger ones, but
we're not talking about the 80s, people. We're talking about, like, the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, we're talking about, like, even before all this. So I really haven't seen a lot of that era, but I know you have. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of, like, educating me on that stuff. And going into this, I honestly had high hopes because I like James Dean. I mean, I'd only seen him in one other movie. He was only in, like, 3 movies before he died, but I watched East of Eden a few years back, and I actually remember liking that one. But then
probably because it had a better script.
Yeah, well, it probably had a better story, and it's based off of John Steinbeck book.
Okay.
So like that's gonna be good, like that's already coming from like good stuff. I don't know the origins of this movie. I don't know if it was just made like it was one of those movies that was made to be edgy. Like, it was just like, we need, like, a teen drama film to seem cool, so this is what they came up with. And they got James Dean because he was kind of a hot commodity at the time.
He was a new up-and-comer, yeah.
Yeah, because I think he'd been in movies, but he was only, like, ever bit roles or an extra, but he was only in 3 movies as a leading role. East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant.
Yes.
So now I have seen 2 out of 3 of those movies.
Yeah. Giant, I haven't seen Giant either, so that'll be next.
Is that what we're going to watch next, or eventually?
Eventually.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with a little break. I remember actually watching East of Eden and being like, wow, he's a lot.
I know, but I think that's what made him popular is because his way of acting was so new, and it was very inventive, and I think just for how young he was, just to see that much, I guess, passion and just rawness with his acting and how he kind of just became the character. I think he was kind of one of those method actors.
Well, you're probably more eloquent on this than I am, so can you explain like what it is he did, like how he would act?
So yeah, he was pretty much like a method actor. Like, I would read how he would really stay in character a lot, even when they weren't rolling, or he was very impromptu with his dialogue. He would on the spot kind of improv and make new lines, and his cast members would kind of have to roll with it because the directors were liking what he was doing. So they're like, okay, yeah, keep going. But it would really kind of infuriate the other cast members, because they're like, didn't know what to do, because they're like, this isn't in the script. Yeah. Like, what are we supposed to do with this? But apparently it was just really very good and new at that time in the 50s.
Yeah, well, you got to think, like, people, especially actors of that time, like, none of them would ever be used to that kind
that
of
way.
Yeah, well, they were trained to, like, this is the script, these are the lines. Now, now
deliver them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you could, as an actor, you probably had the liberty to, like, go to the director and suggest, like, hey, what if I said this instead? But usually before you, like, shot a scene, you would clear it with the director, so he would know, like, okay, they're gonna try to say this now. They came up with it or something. That was probably the most input an actor or actress could have. But it seemed like James Dean, like, he was kind of the first, like, I would almost say, like, not improv actor, but he would just, like, he would just do whatever. He would just say whatever, do whatever.
Yeah, I think he was very much aware of the film, how to make a movie, and, like, he would help, like, direct, or he would help do other functions within the filming aspect of it. So I think he just kind of had an eye for it, and who knows what his career would have been like if he had died so young and so unexpectedly.
I know. I always thought that was so sad. Like, when I learned that that's how he died, I was like, man, like, talk about, like, going, like, that's it.
Yeah. And the film Rebel Without a Cause came out a month after he had passed.
Right.
And I think so he died in September 30th of 1955. He was 24 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I think it's kind of crazy, because I feel like you can almost feel that within Rebel Without a Cause. There was just this kind of, like,
the eeriness that, like, he wasn't around anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it was
when
just
kind of
like there was some sort of, like, I'm trying to find the word. It was like almost like you're holding your breath throughout the film.
I certainly was holding my breath for it to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the thing about the movie, is that it was just so tense. It was a melodrama.
Yeah, it was very
It's over dramatic.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point.
Well, I have to think about it. I think at the time, I think it gave a voice to teenagers.
Okay.
And I think at that time, because, they couldn't act that way. You couldn't just, scream out what you wanted to say or actually felt. But I think in that time, it was big on, like, what teenagers really wanted or thought. But obviously in this movie, it was very dramatic about it. But I think it was trying to give voice to teenagers at that time. So I think, James Dean being as good looking as he was, kind of,
so are
captaining that.
Yeah. So are you saying, like, there was, like, a suppression of teenage culture?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was big of, like, delinquency, teenage delinquency, and gangs, and do what gangs. They, and just that. So I think this was kind of a turning point, and maybe I think it was very popular at that time because of that, but I don't think it's aged well.
Yeah, see, I can recognize it as a good film. I just didn't like it.
Right.
I don't know if you would show this. If you now, you told me, like, okay, this was like a movie for the teens at the time. Okay, if you were to show this to a teenager now, like, would they consider this like, oh, this is timeless? I reflect. I understand what's going on here, or would they be like, what is this?
I think now they might just be confused and be like, what am I watching?
Yeah, because I'll be honest, I think teenagers would get more out of, like, like seeing themselves on the screen more if they watch like the newer Spider-Man movies, because I feel like those movies, like it's like a perfect example of like being in high school and like awkward teen situations and stuff. Whereas like back in this day, that was just the best example I had, but like back in this day, it's like it's still for a while. And I'll even say again, like even the Sam Raimi Spider movies, like for some reason teenagers were always played by like older mid-20s people.
Yeah.
So it never, to me, it never comes off as authentic.
Well, the Natalie Wood and the guy who played Plato, which I always forget his name.
Creepy kid.
Yeah. Sal Mineo.
Okay.
They were actually teenagers at that time. Like they were only like 16 or so. And they looked
like, well, the girl actually looked older, but yeah. Like
she had makeup.
Okay. But like, the Sal kid actually did look younger.
Yeah, like Natalie had the makeup, you know, she's going to look older. But they were actually teenagers at the time, so I think with James Dean, he was obviously older. Not too much older, but he wasn't a teenager anymore.
Right.
But I think maybe at the time that people saw it, you know, they were seeing them smoke and drink and drive
and play with
recklessly
knives.
And play, yeah, like that was the rebellious part of it.
I could believe it. Yeah.
So I think
that's what all those kids reflected.
Yeah, so obviously at that time I think it was relevant to them.
Right.
But obviously nowadays that's not really how kids rebel these days.
I feel like this was like the first movie the first classic movie I've seen in a while where I really saw, I was like, wow, this is so California.
Right.
Like this movie.
Yeah.
Just like the placing of it, and I feel like the way the characters behave, they have like this privileged sense to them, which I mean I can only say probably comes from people who grow up in California. No hate to anyone who grows up in California, but that does come off of sometimes.
Really?
Oh yeah. You ever met? Yeah. Come on, have you ever, like, you've met people from California and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see.
Certain parts, so yeah. Southern California.
Yeah. Yeah, your aunt and cousin, obviously, not.
No.
Not them.
Well,
because your aunt comes from the Midwest.
Yeah, my aunt wasn't born in California. Right.
And Mickey's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Love you, Mickey.
Not Mickey. Mickey's probably the only one. Everyone else is, I can't stand him.
Well, I think we should talk about specifically what we didn't like about the film.
Well, should we talk about the plot?
Yeah. So if
you want to give the IMDb reading, and then I can bumble through the explanation. see if I understand what was going on here.
The basic summary is just like, you know, James Dean, he moves to this new town with his family, and he's this rebellious teenager, and he comes to this town and he finds, you know, new friends but makes enemies and bad things happen.
Yeah. I feel like the most of the plot kind of fumbles along up until the plot does, you know, engage, which is, I would say, when the kid dies. I'd say up until then, it's just...
you mean Buzz?
Yeah, Buzz. I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's the point of this movie? Like, I don't understand. Because it starts off with James Dean's, like, he's, like, milk drunk out in the middle of the street. And then he's not milk drunk.
He's not milk drunk.
No, but
he's alcohol drunk.
No, but everyone drinks milk in the movie, so I just assume he just drinks a lot of milk and he got milk drunk.
Oh.
So
he does drink milk in the movie.
He gets picked up by the cops, and then he's at the police station. Yeah. And then his parents come and get him, and you get the sense that, he doesn't like his parents, or they don't get along or something.
Yeah, he's got trouble.
He always gets into trouble.
They've moved a lot because he gets in trouble. So his mother is always moving the family to run away from whatever this trouble is that he supposedly causes.
Which it kind of...
It almost too alludes that he really doesn't do anything.
No, like, trouble kind of follows him. Like, it's not his fault. He's just one of those people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he goes to a new school, and then he meets a new friend, the creepy kid, and then... Plato, yeah.
Which is not his real name. He just wants to be called
He wants to be called Plato, and then he gets into, like, a
John.
That's
his name.
Oh, that's the character's name?
John Crawford, but he goes by Plato.
Okay. But yeah, then James Dean's character gets into like a car race or something.
Jim Stark,
yeah. Tony Stark's dad. And then it's not. I like to think that'd be funny, but it's not. And then the other kid dies while they're racing, and then basically the rest of the movie revolves around that, like trying to like not say like, oh, they were a part of it and stuff. I'm trying to just not give away too much, but at the same time, it's like I don't really know how to explain the plot of the movie.
I think that's what the problem was. I don't think the story held up. Like, I don't think the script was good, because I think a lot of the times the dialogue almost didn't really match what was going on, or it wasn't saying everything that the characters should say. Like, some things weren't really explained, or it was confusing, and you're just confused at either why they're saying that or acting a certain way.
Right.
You're just like, what's going on?
It
like,
kind of felt
everything was weird.
Yeah, everything is weird. This movie's so weird. It kind of felt
uncomfortable. Doesn't it make you uncomfortable?
Oh, extremely uncomfortable.
This whole movie made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of had the idea for like certain scenes and situations, and they kind of had to build the plot
around it.
Yeah, they kind of had to build the plot around it, because, and I think I also remember. I think I had to put myself in the mindset that like, okay, this takes place in the 50s. Because when this kid dies, it's not like this immediate, like, everyone starts freaking out. It takes a while for the information to get out there. And
that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think I have to remember, like, oh, wait, this is the 50s. No one had smartphones.
That's true. Like, you're not going to know right away.
No one's going to know right away. No one's going to be filming it, and it's going to go right online. Like, It's going to be like, that happens, and everyone's going to be like, no one talk about it. And then it takes, like, a while for you know what I mean? For people to find out, for the cops to get involved and everything. So I think now knowing that, I'm like, okay. But yeah, you're right. This movie makes you feel uncomfortable.
I think the main things that made me uncomfortable was just the characters' interactions with other characters. Like, this kid Plato, obviously they're alluding that he's a homosexual. And
oh, really?
You didn't get that?
I mean, no, I just thought he was kind of creepy, like, because
he's a homo. Like they pretty much were alluded this kid is gay, but we can't flat out say he's gay because it's the 50s. But it's like when you first see him, like after you see him at the police station, because
so that's how they make him weird.
Yeah, like okay, so no, not like that's not how they make him weird.
Okay,
but it's like, so when you first meet his character, like everybody meets up in the police station. You find Jim because he was drunk and then he got picked up. You find Judy because she was picked up because she ran out of her house because she was yelled at for her father for looking too grown up. And then you find Plato. He was picked up because he was killing puppies.
Oh, I know.
Which, okay, creepy and uncomfortable. Second one was he was open up his locker, he had a mirror, and that's where he saw Jim first, was he was staring at him through the mirror. And then he also had a picture of Alan Ladd, which they couldn't flat out be like, oh, here's, a well-known guy, like,
oh, okay,
a well actor.
So they were alluding to that his character was gay.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he has a picture of a man in his locker, as opposed to a woman. He was always blissfully looking at Jim, or wanted like touch his shoulder, be like, where do you live? We can hang out,
I don't like that.
So they're alluding that he's gay, and he's just an awkward character because his mom has left him, his dad is either dead or absent, and he's just like sad, but in a really creepy way.
Wait, so they make him weird and like they say that he kills puppies.
Yeah, like he's some psycho sociopath.
Because he's gay? Or
I don't think because he's gay. I think he just
that's just like a characteristic they gave him.
Yeah,
I mean,
they gave him.
I wouldn't.
That's like he kind of like latches on to Jim.
I wouldn't put it past like 50s, ideas of just like, well, if he's obviously gay, if he does all this other weird stuff and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they like lump that in there.
I haven't read anything like that.
No, but that's just my assumption.
Oh,
just because I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's what they would do back then, probably because considering being gay would be wrong back then, like it wasn't accepted. So to me, I feel like that's what they're doing.
Who knows?
Well, now I don't like this movie even more.
Well, the second thing that was creepy was they allude to this like what do you call it, incestuous relationship between Judy and her father.
Oh, that's right. Well, because like she gets all on him. She's like, oh, I can't kiss my own dad, and then
she's all dressed up or whatever, has lipstick on and what have you. So she looks older, and then she like kisses on his cheek, and he gets all embarrassed and weird and fidgety. And he's like, "You're too old for that. Girls don't kiss their fathers like that anymore," kind of thing. And then she tries to kiss him on his lips.
I think she does, and he like smacks her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Does she? And then he smacks her, and it's like, what is going on? So she's upset.
So is it the idea that like because she's like looking older, the dad's like feels uneasy to be around her because he realizes that she's like sexually attractive to him?
No, or vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah.
Or there's some sort of attraction there, and who knows? They allude to it. Something. Yeah, it's creepy.
Ew, why is this movie so weird and creepy?
I don't know.
Well, okay, you said that you found out that I guess the director was kind of a creep.
Reading up on the director, who he was, it's like...
He dated the lead actress, didn't he?
They say that there was, like, could have been an affair between him and Natalie Wood, which is how she got the part, which she was, like, 15, 16, and he was, like, well into his, like, 40s or 50s, like, gross, and married, and all that jazz, and then,
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ew.
He just didn't seem like a very good dude.
Harvey Weinstein of those days, I guess.
Ew. But other than that, I just thought the dialogue was weird.
Yeah, it all seemed they were trying to make it very like philosophical.
Yeah, it almost just felt like we're trying to talk about something without blatantly talking about it. So we're going to dance around it.
All these issues I put in quotation marks, like they were trying to skate around, like obviously incestuous relationship between a father and his daughter, that's a problem. If they're trying to like allude to the fact that like this kid's gay and that also is playing into like him being like,
I don't think that's connected.
I feel like it is. I wouldn't put it past like those guys back then. That just seems like something they would do. So now we're trying to skate around that as well. I
don't think it's like, because he's gay, he's a psychopath. I think it was just sort of, we want to make the character gay without blatantly showing that he's gay because of the times. So I don't think they could flat out show a gay character.
Okay.
So I think it was just a way to try to include that without blatantly showing it. But they didn't show any, I don't think, connection of because he's gay, he's a psycho and wants to kill puppies. And I don't think that's why.
Okay. I don't know. I want to believe you, but I can't say for sure. But we weren't there. We didn't write the movie.
No.
So I don't know. But yeah, just like the whole thing is just like, it's so unsettling. Because it jumps from like all the melodramatic scenes at the police station, and then we go to like the next morning, and then James Dean's like going to school and he feels uneasy about it, and then like all the kids are like mean to him and all this stuff. It's like one of those like classic, like it has that trope to it where it's like the new kids in town and everyone we're all
I know, which it's funny because it's not like he's weird or he's ugly or nerdy or dopey. It's like he's not any of those things. Like if anything, he's like considered attractive,
right?
But just because he's new, I'm like, I don't think they would beat up on him just because that.
I would. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was... I think that's more of like a movie trope thing.
Yeah.
And who knows, it might have been started with this movie. Like, all the new kids in town, we gotta beat up the new kid because he's an outsider and he's different.
Right. Which I don't really guess I have a problem with just him being like the new kid and showing that he's different from everybody else. Like, that's fine because we want to portray him as the hero of the story or what have you.
Right.
But I think it was just more like... It went from, like, he just, came out of his house, was going to go to school. He meets Judy, who's his neighbor. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, so you live here, huh? And she goes, who lives? I'm like, what?
Yes. Who lives?
I was like, oh, we're really trying to show this, like, angsty teen.
It goes really hard on the angst.
And just the, I don't know.
Yeah.
Philosophical of it all.
I thought, like, it seemed like the screenplay seemed to have like a good idea of like how to set up things and situations, like them going to the what's the thing where they go and they see space or whatever.
Oh, it's like not auditorium.
The auditorium,
not
whatever.
Auditorium. What's it called?
But they go there, and then that kind of comes back to the end of the movie. So there's a lot of like cause and effect in the script, which I I always enjoy when I'm watching a movie. It's very simple, and I enjoy it. It's very simple. Very simple. Very quick.
There are certain parts... No, there definitely are parts that I liked that I think were good movie-making, like, skills that they had.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, I think it was, filmed well, and I think they did well with costumes and,
I think
stuff like that.
The majority of, like, the way it looked and felt, they nailed it.
Yeah, like, the lighting, the photography, or cinematography, I guess I should say, and the, stuff like that. I think I was like, okay, I get the feel. It feels right. And I think the basis of the story is like, okay, this kid, teenager, he has trouble with his parents. He comes to a new school. He's trying to find friends. Gets into the situations and, trying to just connect with people and tell your parents, what's going on, or trying to, like, stick up for yourself or what have you. I think the basis of it is good, but I think just how it came out was just off the mark. Something got missed.
Yeah. That, or they totally hit the mark and they wanted to make us feel weird and they nailed it. Because I definitely felt weird. Well, okay, like, we'll even start with Plato. Like, to set him up as, like, a main character, and then I don't know if it was the intention to make us slowly like him over time, but if you're going to introduce your character... I never
really liked him.
Well, if you're going to introduce him as, like, someone who kills puppies, I ain't going to like him.
I know.
I'm like, no.
Because it's like, they're the three main characters, so, obviously, spoilers, when he gets shot at the end, you're just kind of like, oh, good, he stopped talking.
Yeah, you kind of do feel that.
I think his voice was offsetting.
Off-putting.
It
was just
unsettling.
Like, it was the way he had to portray that role, where he felt. Yeah. I mean, I said it right from the beginning. I'm like, this kid's a serial killer. Yeah. Like, he is a potential serial killer, and he kind of just had that way about him, which I feel like isn't really. I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like that really isn't accurate to probably, like, how you would portray someone like that, because usually, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but in my little research I've done on serial killers, they usually don't come off as that creepy. They seem like totally normal. Yeah. They seem too normal, Yeah. But I think this kid they were just trying to show, like, okay, he's mentally off, and he doesn't
really have friends.
And he acts out in these ways because he wants attention, because his mom doesn't want him. And all this stuff.
Like his extremity of wanting a family and kind of making Judy and Jim his parents. Yeah. And it's kind of just like, ugh.
And they were trying to go with, like, he might be gay, and, like, if he's suppressing that might be playing into, like, his behavior, like, trying to have to, like, suppress those feelings and hide. Mm-hmm. And then not knowing how to interact with people in the right way, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, I think his main issue, because they kept going back to, like, his family, like, his parents, like, his mom pretty much left him and, like, sent money for him, but it just made him so upset because she wasn't there, and he would he'd rip up that check. So it was like his major issues was that he didn't have anybody and he was alone. Right. So I think then Jim was trying to show, we can be friends and stuff like that, but then because Jim really wasn't a bad guy.
No, honestly, like, he was probably my favorite character.
Yeah, like, it's kind of interesting that they allude for him being, like, this rebel or this bad kid who needs to, like, family needs to up and move him, because when he gets into that chicken run or car chase with,
is that what they call it?
Yeah, they called it like a chicken run or something. Nice. Because whoever's chicken jumps out last.
Right, because, like, what they're doing is, like, they're driving these, like,
stolen cars.
Stolen cars, and they're gonna drive them off a cliff, but whoever jumps out of the car first is the chicken.
Yeah, which Jim does not like being called a chicken.
Right, that's kind of the
a trigger for him.
I think that's his problem. That's how he gets into trouble, because I think a lot of people probably threw that term around back then. Yeah, which isn't even that bad, but I guess back in the 50s that was like.
Yeah, I mean, just comparatively, we could probably say it's like a worse word now.
Yeah, wussy.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, is that what you mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like Jim, he gets into this situation, which is kind of interesting because Buzz, the guy that he's driving against, is like Judy's boyfriend, and starts this fight or whatever and fights him. And I think Buzz then ends up kind of like respecting him.
Yeah.
I think because he even says before they go into the cars, he's like, I like you, kind of a thing. But now we're gonna go drive against each other. But I'm sure Buzz didn't anticipate the outcome of what that was gonna happen, or Jim.
Oh, I like what Buzz says to him as they're like looking off the cliff. Like, doesn't Jim say like, "Oh"?
Jim was like, "Yeah, it's like why
do this?
Why do this?" And he's like, "Well, we got to do something.
We got to do something." Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was kind of alluding to, I think, like teenagers and their issues, like just trying to like find their voice and like why probably the grown-ups being like, why are you doing this, why are you acting out? It's like, well, I gotta do something. Gotta do something to get your attention.
We can't watch Netflix. There's only one channel and it's just news and weather. So I think it was like, I'd say like Jim was actually a likable character.
Yeah, because I think he was always wanting to do the right thing, because going then into when Buzz got killed, the first thing he wanted to do was go to his parents and be like, hey, this is what happened. I was involved.
Right.
We need to go to the police.
We need to,
And the parents are like, don't do that. You'll ruin your life forever. And it's like, he's trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then trying to do the right thing by Plato, trying to help him out. And then when things get crazy, because Plato gets a gun, he grabs a gun out of his mother's dresser or whatever, her night table.
It's under like the pillow.
Is it under the pillow?
I think it's just like under the pillow.
Wow, what a stupid place to hide that. I thought it was just like in the side drawer or something.
Yeah. I think it probably made sense to like, if someone's in your house, you can just grab it from behind your pillow.
I guess, but not if you're not there.
Well, also like if you're a sleeper like me, I wouldn't put a gun under my pillow because like I'm like grabbing my pillow and this and that.
No,
like that gun's gonna get lost in the bed.
Or hit me.
Right, yeah, we don't want that.
No,
I don't need you ruining my gun.
Excuse you.
No. I don't have a gun, but for all disclosure, I don't have that.
Don't. No. But yeah, so then when things go down with Plato, he's trying to do the right thing because Plato has shot somebody. Yeah. And he's like, okay, we have to get you out. We have to go to the cops. They're out here waiting for you. And he's trying to get him out, nice and calm and slowly and everything. And then he's trying to be responsible and trying to do this. And then it's like nothing can go right for him.
No, it seems like everything always like
goes against him.
It does the exact opposite of what he intends.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel bad for him.
Can we talk about I think the part of the movie where it lost me, where I was like, okay, I don't like this, is when. So we understand that Buzz dies and Judy was his girlfriend. And then later into the night, she confesses her love for Jim.
Yeah,
and I was like, why?
I think that's another problem I had, is like they made her be this like almost
floozy.
Yeah, just like this crazy lovesick girl trying to get attention from men. Either it's from her dad or from her boyfriend, or now Jim is in the picture. But we like Jim. He's a nice guy. Yeah. But yeah, then they have this awkward kiss scene because apparently that's how people kiss in the 50s. Is just
that's how James Dean kissed.
No, I think that
he was very unpredictable with his kissing.
It wasn't him; it was her.
Was she bad at it?
Well, she was the one. Yeah, because he's laying down and she's like, on her elbow, like peering over him. So then she's, going down and kissing him. But it was just an awkward scene.
Kissing scenes back in all those movies were always like so uncomfortable to watch.
Not always. Some of them are like not.
Some of them
uncomfortable, just like because a lot of them at times they're not moving. They just come in this big like hug embrace and
you don't really see it.
And then they kiss, but there's no moving. They just hold it there.
Yeah. But this is like, they're like...
It was just... I think it was just weird because if you think about it, all of these characters, Jim, Judy, and Plato, they all met that morning.
Technically, yeah. Yeah. Would it have been that morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they technically, like, in the middle of the night, whatever, at the police station, they didn't really meet. But then they met that morning at school. Okay. And then all this goes down within 24 hours.
What a terrible first day of school.
Terrible first day of school.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, there was what was it? Dennis Hopper. That was cool. Dennis Hopper plays one of the gang member kids. So I was like, hey, there's Dennis Hopper. That was probably, like, the only part of the movie I was enjoyed when he was on screen. Yeah. He didn't do anything spectacular. I just thought it was cool that he was there.
Like, hey, I know that face.
I had no idea he was in this movie. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there was just like you said, it was just very uncomfortable. I think it was just like, I liked Jim because like he just tried to do the right thing, and it's
he
like
kind of had some funny quibs too.
Yeah. Like what?
Like in the scene when they come out of the space, I'm gonna forget this word. I don't remember this word. It starts with a P, I thought. Planetarium?
I think that's it.
Is that it?
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay.
Planetarium.
They come out, it's over, which is like, who has a field trip on the first day of school? Whatever. I digress.
Or was it his first day of school?
I don't know. Maybe it was his
I think it was his first day of school.
Not
I feel
first day.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, like, I feel like everyone's probably been in school for, like, a couple months now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So they come out of the planetarium, and then, because I think Buzz kind of, I don't know, felt like Jim was trying to get at his girl or something, which he really wasn't.
No, he just made a funny during
because
the show.
He mooed because it said something about Taurus, the constellation.
Yeah, he's like, moo.
Yeah. So they go and slash his tires.
Let's beat him up because he mooed.
Yeah. They go and slash his tires, and then when they're out there, the guy's Buzz is instigating him to try to fight or whatever. And, Jim is getting something out of his trunk to, like, fix his tires. And then Buzz said something to him like, oh, you're some... I'm going to forget the lines now, but he's, like, calling him stuff, and he goes...
Mm-hmm.
And Jim's like, yeah, and I'm cute, too.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So he's got some good one-liners.
Yeah, like, I think the actors themselves were good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the casting was good. I think they all did a good job. I just think they had a weird script to work with, and I think the movie was trying to, like, portray all these things, which probably was, like, groundbreaking at the time to allude to all these things within a film.
True.
So I respect the movie. I just don't think it carried well in the years later. Like, nowadays, I just don't think it aged well.
I don't think it aged well at all, yeah.
Yeah, and I love Natalie Wood. I think she's a great actress, and I think you can see that even at a young age. Like, in the first scene, she's, like, crying, and she actually does really well. Like,
what else has she been in?
Oh, a lot. West Side Story.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, my gosh. Can't
What
wait.
else?
She's been in, it's called, what's it called? Hold on, you putting me on the spot here.
I did like the knife fight.
Yeah.
I like it when Jim and Buzz had their knife fight, which I didn't really intend them to actually cut each other.
No, and they did. They actually did in real life.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they
were actually
used
cutting each
real
other?
knives.
Oh my gosh.
And,
wait, they were actually cutting each other?
I don't think James Dean, I don't think he ever got the other guy, but James Dean did actually have some cuts.
Okay. Well, probably because he was, like, flailing about like crazy. So, like,
yeah, the guys were like,
so probably the actor playing Buzz was probably trying to avoid hitting him, but then James Dean would, like, get into the way of the knife or something.
Something, yeah.
But yeah, I like that part, which I was actually surprised. Like, oh wow, this is an actual knife fight. We're actually seeing some them actually cut each other.
Splendor in the Grass.
Nope.
She's been in Love with the Proper Stranger.
Mm-mm.
Really, nothing.
No, babe. I don't watch a whole lot of classic movies.
I know.
Have you seen all these movies?
I've seen Splendor in the Grass.
I have no idea what that is.
She was young in that one too.
I would just say, like, this one, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I thought, and again, it wasn't that I was turned off by any of the themes or anything.
Right.
Like all that stuff, I'm fine with. I think it's just the movie itself, it just comes off as very unsettling and creepy, and I don't like a lot of the way that, like, the story carries. It just feels so random and disjointed.
I think that's what was, it was random. Like, things weren't matching or clicking or making sense.
Yeah, it all just seemed to kind of just be this whole, like a shuffleboard or something, just like, I don't know, put this in and then put this in and,
Yeah.
It just didn't fit for me. And, like, Jim's, like, relationship with his parents.
Yeah, like, the mom was a very overbearing and controlling, and then the grandma lived there, and at one point you have the dad is wearing an apron over his suit, so clearly it's like...
To show, like, that submissiveness of his personality.
Picking up food that he dropped that was supposed to give the wife in bed. And
there's such a weird moment when Jim comes home.
Yeah.
And because you don't see the dad drop the tray of food.
And then you just hear it.
You hear it, and then you just see him, like kind of like picking it up, and then Jim just like walks up the steps, and it's like, I don't know why, it's like the way James Dean like does this movement or this line, it's so weird, but it's just, it takes him a minute to like figure out what's going on. He's just like, hey Dad, what are you doing? And he's just like, I dropped the food. He's like, you dropped the food? And then they just start like laughing. It was so weird. Yeah. It almost felt like they were high. It almost felt like when if like you and your buddy like, you know, smoke or something, and then one of them drops something, and then it's like, I dropped something, you dropped something, and then you find it funny for some reason.
I think I don't know if that was in the script or not, but maybe that was one of those moments that James Dean was kind of, you know, improvising.
Probably.
And so the guy was maybe just trying to like react as best he could.
I feel like most of the stuff he did was improvisation. Like even the parts where like when he finally like confronts his parents, and then he like grabs his dad, he's like, stand up, and he throws his dad on the chair, and the chair falls over. I can only imagine that actor just being like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna kill me.
Yeah. It's like, you get what he's trying to say. It's kind of like, okay, Dad, you need to stand up for yourself. Mom, you need to calm down. And, you know, I don't know. It's like, you get what he's trying to do.
And like his mom, like when she says like, all the trouble he causes for me, and what does she say? Like I almost died giving birth to him or something.
Something like that.
She says something like that, and I'm like, lady, like that's not his fault.
No.
So, obviously like his dad's a wimp.
But a very nice guy.
He's a very nice guy, but yeah, he just kind of lets the mom run all over him, and she gets kind of overbearing and mean. And I like it when Jim like kicks his grandma's portrait, though. That's funny.
Oh, I think it was actually the mom.
Oh, was it the mom?
I think it was.
It looked like because she had silver hair in the portrait. I thought it was grandma. The mom. Either way, I thought it was great that he just decided to kick that as he was leaving.
I know, as he's like, I'm gonna bust this thing.
What did he eat as he was like, I'm sorry, this is random, but what was he eating as he left the house the first time? He just like grabbed something out of the fridge, and he's just like, was it like cake or something?
It looked kind of like cake.
Maybe.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the diet of Hollywood actors back then. You eat like
cake and milk.
Yeah, cake and milk. You have one piece of cake and you just drink milk all day, and then you look like James Dean.
Yeah.
I could believe it. Yeah,
you know, even though this movie is kind of weird, you still get, you know, his classic red jacket and his...
That's that look.
That's that James Dean look. And you get the infamous line,
You're tearing... Yeah.
Yeah, you're tearing me apart.
Yeah. So, I mean, he delivers that really well.
Yeah. It's funny because he delivers it so seriously, and it's really, like, you know, gut-wrenching for him, but then you can't help but kind of laugh.
He looks kind of silly when he says it.
The hands and
the hands and he looks like a little gremlin, like he's just like when he says it.
Yeah.
No hate to James Dean, but like
that
it was just kind of funny.
Well, again, I just think it just didn't exactly age well.
I feel like James Dean was probably one of those guys where like when he was like on set or like talking to you, he probably didn't have a sense of like personal boundaries, because it even felt like during a lot of his scenes, even the first scene when he's talking to the cop, he was standing really close to that guy, and I'm like, I feel like he's staying very abnormally close to him.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel like that was probably part of his thing, is like, here's how I'm going to get a good reaction. I'm going to stand like really
too close to people,
too close to them, and make them feel make them uncomfortable. Which maybe. I remember, actually, this is a side thing, but so the reason I watched East of Eden, I took Martin Scorsese's like master class.
Oh yeah.
And which it wasn't like Martin Scorsese actually taught me. It's like an online thing. You pay like, I don't know, like $90, and you get this whole course taught by a certain master at their skill. There's ones for cooking, there's ones for this, there's ones for that. It's like all kinds. Martin Scorsese has one. It's about filmmaking, and one of the lessons is he wants you to watch certain types of acting, and so the assignment is like to watch Marlon Brando's type of acting, which I think you had to watch. What's it? Oh, On the Waterfront.
Oh, okay.
Which is a good one. Have you seen On the Waterfront?
No. At first, I thought you were gonna say A Streetcar with No Name.
I thought I was going to too. Not that one.
Not that one.
On the Water. Yeah, On the Waterfront's amazing. And then East of Eden.
Right.
So he was like trying to say like the two different types of acting, at least like according to Martin Scorsese, because you know Martin Scorsese's like in his mid 80s at this point. So like you have Marlon Brando, who I think Marlon Brando was like notorious for not memorizing his lines, like kind of being like the first time he says it, that's the most authentic. He'll say it. So you have like his kind of acting, and then there's James Dean. So they had me watch East of Eden, so you see his like improvisation, sporadic type acting, and like how he interacts with the other actors. Where Marlon Brando, he kind of just plays the scene. He stays in character, but he also like kind of acts more of like a normal person, I guess I would say. More subdued, yeah. So anyway, that's just how I had seen James Dean's performance in East of Eden, and it was kind of all over the place, but I did enjoy it, But I felt like this one just it felt like it did fit. His type of acting did fit whatever movie they were going for here.
Yeah.
It was just a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot, and I just didn't really enjoy it. But yeah, East of Eden's great.
Yeah, I think James Dean's acting is just it's almost a spectacle in its own way.
It really is. I feel like no one else can do it.
No, it's just kind of like the energy he gives out. You're just like, this guy is something else.
He almost feels like the proto Daniel Day-Lewis, because Daniel Day-Lewis does similar things. Like, he stays in character on set, and he'll like do like crazy things, random scenes in like the scene. But no hate against James Dean. I feel like James Dean was just trying to like try whatever, do whatever I can to. Well,
he was young. He's probably experimenting, finding what works.
I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis kind of had more of a thought behind like every single thing he did, and whenever he would try something, he would, like think about it, see if it made sense. And I think Daniel Day-Lewis was like, he would actually like communicate with the director too of all the stuff he was gonna try. So I don't know if James Dean was like, you said he was like very hands-on with directing though as well.
Yeah, well, I think this guy who directed Rebel Without a Cause really liked James Dean, and they did a lot of spent a lot of time working together, developing the character and stuff. Okay. So I think the director was fascinated with his acting. I think just wanted to nurture it and just have him kind of do what he wanted. That makes sense.
I feel like it almost feels like this movie was built around like his type of acting then.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I would, again, I didn't really enjoy this one, but I would have liked to have seen, if James Dean had lived, if he didn't die, I would have eventually loved to have seen like a movie directed by him.
Oh yeah.
I think it would have been really good.
Yeah. I agree.
Never will get that.
Not a huge fan of this one. Like, I think I respect the film. I respect its like reputation and
I get it.
But yeah, I would have loved to have seen what James Dean's career would have turned out to be.
Yeah, if he hadn't passed. I think we're both in agreement that it was just disjointed. And it was a lot. It was too much.
You were kind of exhausted afterwards. But
really were.
And at the same time, kind of bored.
Yeah, like I was trying to like, what's the point of all this? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just me. I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't really care about teenage angst issues in movies.
As much?
No, I mean, obviously no. Unless it really... Because like when it's just like that kind of stuff where it's like, no one understands me, the world's mean. I don't like that. That's why I didn't like the last Joker movie that much, because I feel like that was like the main theme at the end of the movie. Everyone's mean and they don't understand me. I don't like it when characters are like that. I don't like it when they're whiny, and I felt like a lot of the characters were just whiny. I hate whiny characters.
Yeah.
And that was every character in this movie. But what are you gonna do? It's fine. The movie's over now. We don't have to watch it ever again. But we should watch Giant at some point, because isn't it a Western?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love Westerns.
Yeah. We'll have to watch Giant to see how he does in that one, because that movie came out after he died too.
It came out a year after he died, right?
Yeah.
He'd already filmed it.
Yeah.
Dang.
He'd already filmed it.
That's so sad.
I know.
Well, all right. So this is Yuckathon, so obviously like we both kind of yucked this one.
Yes.
Now for the next episode, it's gonna be coming up here soon. We kind of got backtracked a bit, so we're kind of making up for it now, but we're gonna be talking about Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Yeah. There you go. We watched it last night. Or was it last night?
Well, maybe... No.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
The original Red Dawn, not the Josh Peck poopy one.
No, back to Patrick.
Yeah, back to Patrick Swayze. I feel like we need to do another Patrick Swayze movie, though, afterwards. At some point. We should do Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to
because I haven't seen Roadhouse.
I have not either.
It might be a Yumathon.
Or a Yuckathon. Who knows?
I don't know. Can you really yuck something with Patrick Swayze in it?
We shall find out.
Yeah. I know. I never thought I'd yuck something with James Dean in it, so you never know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to plug us away, babe?
All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening to another episode of Don't Yuck My Yum. Go ahead and like us on our Instagram page, Don't Yuck My Yum Pod. Or you can go and listen to us at Spotify or anywhere else you get your podcasts, and give us an email or a message of what you would like for us to watch, and we will see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.